In early 2020, we found ourselves in the midst of a global pandemic. Nobody knew where the virus had come from, but one thing was certain. Somehow, somewhere, it began with us.
There's so much out there in the natural world, and we're part of it, and we rely on it. And we may think that nature is something separate, and we can distance ourselves and live in our little bubble. It's not true.
We get a lot of talk in terms of man versus nature, civilization versus uncivilized, the ways in which we try to hold ourselves other from nature is problematic because we are nature.
Where do novel viruses infecting humans come from? Everything comes from somewhere, and new viruses for humans come from wild animals. We know that. Wild mammals and birds probably carry about 1.5 million viruses that we haven't even seen yet. A world of viruses. So all of the disruption that we commit against wild diverse ecosystems increases the likelihood of new viruses getting into humans.
People's impact on the planet has consequences. And because we're encroaching into wildlife habitat and traveling at an unprecedented rate around the planet and consuming products, meat, agriculture, livestock production, deforestation, road building is also growing at an exponentially expanding rate. And that drives an increase in pandemic risk.
So whenever we go into wild, diverse ecosystems and start capturing animals to take to market, killing wild animals for food, cutting down trees for timber, establishing timber camps, little villages, mining camps to extract mineral resources, to extract fossil fuel, wrecking the ecosystem, disturbing it, we expose ourselves to the viruses that the wild animals carry.
These patterns of our exploitation and consumption are proximate causes. They tell us how something's happened, but they can't tell us why. To understand those ultimate causes, we need to look at how we frame our relationship to nature.
The value framework that is most responsible for this whole problem is the framework within which humans see themselves as detached from nature, as apart from nature, as above nature, and not as part of nature.
It's kind of like human exceptionalism. People want to think that humans are exceptional, and I always say all animals are exceptional, but they want to place humans above and separate from other animals. And we need to recognize that humans are animals.
Every aspect of how we deal with pandemics sets us as apart from nature. We talk about zoonotic diseases, we talk about them coming from animals into people, but we're animals too. We talk about them coming out of the environment into our communities, but we're in the environment.
We hear so much talk about nature these days, but not everybody around the world sees nature in the same way, and some communities and some individuals are given much more voice than others.
There's a pretty clear delineation between sort of those that value the environment as something that humans should have dominion over, control over, that we are here on this planet to sort of steer and guide the environment around us. Often that correlates with sort of a separation of humans from nature. And then there's the total other side of the coin where people feel deep connection with nature, that humans are very much part of the natural biotic community, and that we have an obligation and responsibility to treat nature with respect and recognition of our interconnectedness.
Indigenous communities globally have millennia of experience stewarding their ancestral lands, and that rich knowledge around sustainable ways of relating to land, and also, relating to land as ancestor, not as an inanimate object, not as a commodity, or something to extract from for human gain, but really something that reflects the health and well-being of humans.
One thing that nobody's talking about as much as they should is that pandemics happen because of the way two animals interact, with us as one of those animals. So one thing we absolutely need to rethink is our relationship to other species.
So it was very convenient for many people to believe that animals were just things, just objects, without feelings, without emotions. Because then to do the terrible medical research that has been done, to put animals into intensive factory farms, to hunt them, shoot them, kill them, eat them, sports hunt them, all of these things aren't so easy if you actually believe that you are dealing with a sentient being that has feelings, that has emotions, can feel fear and pain and despair.
You know, I'll talk about animals as who, so it's who we're eating, not what we're eating. It's who we're dealing with in conservation projects, not what we're dealing with. And when you start using the word who, it really invokes this idea about sentience and feelings.
One silver lining of the pandemic is that it has created an opportunity. The other thing that's come out of this pandemic is just a real awareness of our interconnectedness as human beings around this world, as well as the need to understand that we are so dependent on the non-human beings that also share this planet.
I hope that people will begin to realize that we need to behave differently, that we need to emerge from this pandemic, as we will, with a new respect for nature, the natural world, and animals, and realize that we cannot continue to treat nature, to treat animals in the way that we have been doing.
We need a broader framework of value. We are part of nature. Nature has inherent value just as we have inherent value. It's not an all or none sort of thing. It's a matter of balance and degrees and connectivity. Without that, we're in big trouble.
Throughout the making of this film, with much of the world in lockdown, we've had the opportunity to see what follows when we release our hold on the Earth. However briefly, we've witnessed a quieter, cleaner world. But there's been little meaningful change in how many of our leaders talk about nature. There's still a refusal to examine the destructive values that shape our world. Nature remains a resource to be used for our benefit, something we own rather than something we are. That needs to change, or the cycle of disruption will continue.
First, we went and ravaged the earth, and we ignored those who spoke out because we didn't understand our relationship with the earth.
Machupo virus, 1961, Marburg, 67, Ebola, 76, HIV recognized, 81, Hendra virus, Australia, 1994, Nipah virus, 1998, boom, 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 and it goes on.
I think this pandemic is really, if there's any good side, and it's, to be honest, it's hard to say there's any good side, but if there's any good side, it's animals coming back into their homes and cities and towns. It's people needing connection.
So I think the more that we can empower different Indigenous communities to do that and make decisions in the ways they've traditionally been very successful in doing, the better.
I hope that the pandemic has given many people time to rethink how we interact with the natural world.